This is a warning from the heavenly realm for you, not to make you panic, but to remind you that I am nearer than you think. My child, pause in this moment and let your heart become still. For there are words that do not come like the noise of the world, but like a gentle hand placed upon your shoulder when you thought you had to hold everything together on your own. I am not calling you to threaten you, nor do I want you to believe that my blessing is so fragile that if you are one step too slow, it will be lost forever. I am calling you because I love you, because I have seen you pass through too many weary days, because I know there are hidden places within you that need to be lifted up by one certain word. You have never been forgotten. My beloved child, there is help I have sent ahead of you that your eyes cannot yet see. There has been quiet protection standing between you and what could have wounded you. There are doors I closed, not to disappoint you, but to keep you from paths that would not lead to peace. There are roads I slowed down, not because I did not hear your prayer, but because I was arranging something more complete than what you were hastily longing for. If you look only through weariness, you will think your life is full of delays. But if you look through faith, you will begin to recognize that even in the silent spaces, I am still working, still preparing the way, still protecting what belongs to you. I have seen the nights when you cried in silence. I have seen you wipe your tears quickly so no one would notice. I have seen you enter a crowded room with an ordinary face while your heart was heavy with things you did not know how to share with anyone. I know what it feels like to have to smile when inside you need to be held. I know what it feels like to have to be strong when all you want is rest. I know the times when you tried to breathe deeply so you would not break down in front of others. The times when you sat quietly while a storm passed through your heart. And I say to you that not one of your tears is meaningless before me. The things you silently endured did not make you smaller. They became the very places where I will place healing, wisdom, and new light. You have fought many battles behind closed doors. There were battles for which no one applauded you, because no one knew how much courage it took just to keep living uprightly. There were victories no one saw, such as when you chose silence instead of answering with bitterness, chose to rise again though your heart still hurt, chose to pray though you had not yet seen an answer, chose not to let go of faith, though circumstances kept pulling you toward despair. I saw it all. I did not only see the outward results, I saw every step you took in secret. And today, I want you to know that your endurance has not been overlooked. I am preparing to turn those hidden months and days into the foundation for a restoration that is clearer, deeper, and more beautiful. The dark forces that once tried to swallow your peace will not have the final word. The thoughts that made you afraid, the memories that made you hesitate, the words of others that once caused you to doubt your worth, all of them are not stronger than the love I have placed upon you. I have intervened many times without you even knowing. I stopped things that could have wounded you more deeply. I kept you from decisions born out of despair. I pulled you away from places that seemed attractive but carried no life. You may not fully understand why some things did not happen, why some people left, why some plans closed. But one day you will look back and understand that my hand was protecting you even when you thought you were being rejected. I have said no to many things that wanted to break you, not because you are perfect, but because you are mine, not because you have never made mistakes, but because my love is greater than the mistakes you have made. I have placed upon you a protection that is not loud, but enduring. Evil is not permitted to define your home. Fear is not permitted to master your thoughts. Despair is not permitted to name your future. Even in seasons when you felt darkness drawing near, I remained the light standing between you and it. Even in moments when you felt too weak, I remained the strength lifting you up from within. Even on days when everything seemed about to fall apart, I remained the one holding you by grace that never runs dry. Tonight, allow your heart to open to the good shift I am making. Not every miracle comes with a loud sound. Some miracles begin with peace returning after many days of turmoil. Some miracles begin with one right decision you had delayed for too long. Some miracles begin when you stop believing the old condemnation and realize that you are still loved. Some miracles come through an unexpected door. Gentle news, a timely encounter, a new opportunity, healing in a relationship, or hope rising up when you thought it had gone out. I do not want you to limit how I work. What I do may be quiet, but when the time is right, it will carry the mark of peace in a way you cannot mistake. Do not doubt my love simply because you have not yet seen the whole picture. And do not question your worth simply because the journey has winding places. I do not blame you when you have questions. I am not far from you when your heart is weak. But I invite you not to let those questions become a wall that blocks you from receiving comfort. Faith is not pretending that you do not hurt. Faith is daring to place that pain into my hands. Faith is not understanding everything before you continue walking. Faith is knowing that I am going before you, staying with you, and standing behind you to guard what you cannot yet control. Receive what I am sowing into your heart today with humility, gratitude, and pure trust. I do not need you to prove your faith through a hurried action before others. I want you to prove your faith by returning to me in truth. Lay down the worry you have held for too long. Release the self-blaming words that have exhausted you. Stop seeing yourself as someone left behind. Lift up your head, for I have not finished your story. What I have written over your life is not erased by one difficult season. What I have prepared for you is not destroyed by the days when you were weak. What I open will come in order, in peace, and in a time that carries my wisdom. Therefore, my beloved child, rest in my presence tonight. Do not let fear keep you awake. Do not let threatening voices steal the tenderness I am restoring within you. Let your room become a place where peace visits, where your breathing slows, where you remember that I have seen, heard, intervened, and am still working. Something good is being formed in your life, and it does not need panic in order to become real. When the moment opens, you will recognize that I have been with you for a long time, fighting for you in places you could not see, keeping you through nights when you thought you would not survive, and leading you closer to the morning of restoration. Be at peace, my child, for I am here. I have not left you. I have not forgotten you, and I will not let darkness have the final word over your life. The world tried to attach names to you that did not belong to you, tried to shrink you with limits set by human hands. Once made you bow your head in shame and believe that pain had the right to define your entire life. But my beloved, Hear me speak. You are not what they called you, not what they did to you, not the seasons in which you fell, and not the judgments that dropped upon you like heavy stones. I do not define you by your wounds. I define you by the purpose I placed within you. I do not look at you through the eyes of the crowd. I look at you through my eternal love. I know who you are when no one applauds. I know who you are when no one sees the things you silently endure. I know your heart when you pray in silence, when you still choose what is good, though your heart is tired, when you still try to keep your softness, though life has tried many times to make you cold and hard. And because I know who you truly are, I am not merely sending you a little favor to comfort you. I am bringing a divine reversal, a turning written by my hand. What people once said you would never touch, I am preparing to place into your hands in a way that will make you understand that no one has the right to close what I have opened. The doors they said you were not qualified to enter, I can open with one word. The places where they once excluded you, I can use those very places to reveal my support. The opportunities you once thought had passed by, I can bring them back in a form that is better, more mature, and more stable. You have heard too many voices denying you, but today I want my voice to sound louder than all of them. You are called for a purpose, preserved for a season, prepared for a revealing that the world cannot explain with old reasoning. What I do does not need the permission of those who once doubted you. What I give does not need the agreement of those who once looked down on your journey. The clock of heaven is moving, and every tick of it is aligned with the appointed time I have set for your life. There are moments unlike other moments, nights that are not merely the ending of a day, but the threshold of a new season. If you close your ears to my call, you may miss the guidance just before the turning point. If you continue to ignore what I am reminding you of in your heart, you may let this season pass through your fingers like wind, only to look back later and realize that I had called you to ride. But if you remain in my presence, if you trust, even though your eyes have not yet seen completely, if you dare to declare faith in the middle of things that are still unfinished, then tonight will become a marker in your life. Not because everything changes before your eyes with a loud sound, but because within you there will be a holy shift. You will no longer stand in the position of one defined by the past, but will begin to step into the position of one I have called, lifted, and led into the promise. My hand has never left you. Even in seasons when you thought you had been abandoned in the whirlwind, when the world around you spun like a storm, I remained the anchor keeping you from drifting away. When people you once trusted turned their backs, I remained near. When the promise seemed far away, I was still quietly working in places you could not see. When you no longer knew what to say in prayer, I still heard your sighs. My child, my nearness does not depend on your temporary feelings. There are days when you feel I am far away, but in truth, I am nearer than ever, shielding you from things you have not yet recognized, keeping you from paths that look bright but lead to weariness, and whispering strength into the deepest place within you when you think you no longer have enough strength to stand. My presence is not a passing breath that appears and disappears. My love does not visit you and then leave when your heart grows weak. My mercy is not so fragile that it can be broken by one season of doubt. I am with you in enduring faithfulness. with a nearness that is not shaken by the noise of circumstances. And in this night, I want you to recognize how truly close I am to you. I am not far from the bills you are worrying over. I am not far from the decisions that steal your sleep. I am not far from the wounds you still do not know how to name. I am not far from your home, your family, your desires, or the fragments of hope you once hid away because you feared another disappointment. I am entering those places with gentleness and power, not to condemn you, but to renew, to rearrange, to heal, and to open pathways you cannot open by yourself. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not someone standing outside my plan. You are someone I see, someone I call by name, someone I preserve through dark seasons you thought you could not survive. Heaven is not silent about you. Your name has not been lost among the countless cries of the world. I know you with complete understanding, and I am commanding help to come near your life. My messengers are moving according to my will, not late, not mistaken in address, not overlooking what I have ordained. There are blessings that were delayed, not because I rejected you, but because the time was not yet ripe. But now I am accelerating what needs to be completed. I am shortening the distance between the prayer and the answer. I am bringing resolution closer to the door of your house than you think. Understand this. My beloved child, delay is not denial. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not being forgotten. There are things I held back until you were steady enough to receive them without losing your peace. There are answers I prepared long ago, but I needed your heart to be cleansed of fear, hostility, and the need to prove yourself to people who do not understand your journey. I do not only want to give you what you prayed for, I want you to become someone who can steward it with wisdom, gratitude, humility, and a heart that still turns toward me after the blessing comes. Therefore, do not despise seasons of preparation. Do not see the years of waiting as an empty space without meaning. I use them to deepen your roots, teach you to stand firm, and make you strong enough not to be swept away when increase begins to pour down. Now, be ready to open the door, not only the outward door, but the door within your heart. Open the door for faith to return. Open the door for peace to enter. Open the door for a new story that you no longer limit by what has already happened. Do not let old disappointment make you doubt new blessing. Do not let former insults cause you to bow your head when I am calling you to stand upright. Do not let the memory of doors that once closed make you afraid before the door I am opening. I am drawing near to you with an answer, with help, with support, with a reversal only I can accomplish. What once opposed, you must make room for. My purpose. The words that once suffocated your hope will be silenced by the fruit in your life. The places that once made you ashamed will become places you look back upon and recognize that my hand turned everything into part of your preparation. Therefore, my beloved child, stand still in faith, but do not be passive in your heart. Be awake, listen, and follow the pure prompting I place within you. Tonight is not the time to turn your back on the call. This is the time for you to respond with trust. This is the time for you to stop letting the world define you and begin receiving what I have spoken over you. You are not your pain. You are not your rejection. You are not their mockery. You are one I created for purpose, preserved through storms, and prepared for a revealing at the appointed time. Open the door, for what I am bringing is not only a passing blessing, but a sign that I am still near, still acting, still fighting for you, and still writing the rest of your life with the light of mercy that never runs dry. My beloved child, you are the light I have chosen to shine in places still covered by darkness. And your presence on this earth has never been an accident. Before you knew how to name yourself, I knew you. Before you cried your first cry in this life, I had already seen your entire journey within my heart. You were not created as an accident drifting through time, nor are you a life abandoned amid the upheavals of the world. I breathed life into you with holy intention, with unchanging love, and with a deep purpose that even you often do not fully understand. There are days when you look at yourself and only see weakness, delay, weariness, and unanswered questions. But I look at you and see the seed of glory I placed there from the beginning. You are not as small as fear once said. You are not as meaningless as rejection once made you believe. You are not as forgotten as silent seasons tried to convince you. You are one I have called by name, one I have kept, one I have set apart for good. I carved your path with wisdom beyond what your eyes can see. There were turns you thought were mistakes, but I used them to teach you reliance. There were seasons of waiting that you thought meant abandonment, but I used them to forge endurance within you. There were tears that fell in the night without anyone witnessing them, but I caught each one with a father's mercy. There is no pain you carry that I do not know. There is no prayer you whisper tremblingly that I do not hear. There is no step you take through the valley where I do not walk beside you. Even when you thought you were alone, I was still there. Even when you thought heaven was silent, I was still covering you. Even when you thought everything had closed, I was quietly preparing another door at the right time, in the right place, and in the right way. The world may not recognize your worth, but heaven is never mistaken about your identity. People may overlook you, undervalue you, misunderstand you, or only see what you have not yet done, but I see what I placed within you, and that is precious before me. My angels know the sound of your cry. Your silent prayers do not dissolve into emptiness. They rise before me like the fragrance of faith, like the voice of a child still searching for the Father amid confusing days. There were times when you prayed with clear words, and there were also times when all you could do was sigh in exhaustion. But I understand even those sighs. I do not need your words to be perfect in order to listen to you. I understand the language of your heart, including the things you do not dare say and the wounds you try to hide beneath outward strength. Do not let the world dim the light I have placed within you. There were circumstances that tried to cover your hope with dust. There were people who tried to make you doubt your dignity. There were failures that made you think you no longer had enough light to keep walking. But the light that comes from me is not extinguished by criticism, not put out by delay, not destroyed by difficult seasons. I set you apart, not so that you would live in pride, but so that you would carry my truth, courage, hope, and healing into dry places. There will be people lifted up because you did not give up. There will be places lit because you dared to enter with faith. There will be hearts comforted because you yourself were once comforted by me in the hidden place. I know your heart has known sorrow. I know your hands have grown tired from trying to hold on to too many things. I know there were nights when you cried until you had no words left, no strength to explain anything to anyone, and no desire to tell anyone anymore. In those hours, when the room was silent and your heart was full of questions, I drew nearer to you than you realized. I covered you with my gentle presence. I gave you strength when you thought nothing remained but emptiness. I kept you from decisions born out of pain. I pulled you away from thoughts that wanted you to give up. I reminded you to take one more breath, one more step, to believe just a little more. If today you are still standing, it is not because you have never been weak, but because my grace carried you through places you thought you could never survive. Every hardship you have passed through has not been in vain. I am using each season to shape you into a vessel of glory, cleansed, strengthened, and prepared to carry the fire of faith into life. The cracks you once felt ashamed of will become places where my light shines through. The things you once considered loss will become the material of compassion. The years you thought were only delay will become the foundation of maturity. I do not allow pain to define you. I use pain placed in my hands as testimony that restoration is real. You are not only called to survive trials, you are called to come out of them with deeper wisdom, purer love, and faith that is not easily shaken by outward winds. There are blessings drawing near to your life, blessings kept on the other side of obedience and trust. I know you have waited long. I know there were times when you wondered whether that breakthrough would ever come, whether that promise was still alive, whether the new season was truly meant for you. But I declare to you that what you thought was standing still is moving. What you thought was far away is being drawn near. What you thought was delayed is being arranged at the right time. Not only to arrive, but to remain. Do not abandon your hope in the final hour. Do not let weariness make you leave your position right before the door opens. I have not finished your story. The page you are reading today is not the final chapter. And what I have written for you is wider than what you have ever dared to dream. You are stepping into a season of divine arrangement, where the right people will find you. The right doors will open before you, and the right answers will come at the time I have appointed. You do not need to force what belongs to you. You do not need to struggle to be seen. You do not need to lose your peace chasing things I have not entrusted to you. When I arrange, everything will recognize its place. The person who needs to meet you will be led to you. The opportunity that needs to open will not remain closed forever. The word that needs to arrive will be sent at the right time. What needs to leave will also be moved out of your life by my wisdom. Trust that my hand is arranging things behind the curtains, even when you do not yet see every piece falling into place. So, my beloved child, do not call yourself lonely anymore. Do not call yourself forgotten anymore. Do not call yourself a failure simply because you have passed through difficult seasons. You are not defeated. You are loved. You belong to me. I am your eternal Father, the one who does not leave you in the night, does not forget you in the valley, and does not let go of your hand when your heart is weak. I have placed upon you a crown of favor, not a crown of outward glamour, but the seal of love, protection, and purpose. Perhaps the things opposing you have risen up. Perhaps words, circumstances, and pressure have tried to pull you down, but they will not overcome what I have placed upon your life. My hand is upon you, and where my hand rests, darkness has no right to rule. Rise in my peace. Continue walking with renewed faith. Let the light within you no longer be covered by shame, fear, or old memories. I am calling you back to your true identity, a beloved child, a bearer of light, one who is kept, one who is sent to bring hope where healing is needed. Remember that you do not enter tomorrow by your own strength, but by my grace. You do not carry your story alone, because I am still writing it with you. And when everything begins to open, when the right doors appear at the right time, when blessings are released, when what once opposed you must retreat, you will know that I was there from the beginning, that I kept you through every tear, and that I prepared you for a season more beautiful than what you once believed you deserved.